All right, so we're back here, Couch Coaches. Once again, another Couch Coach Live here. Tuesday edition of Couch Coach Live. It is the 15th of September. So we're here. Got our guy JB in the building. We got a special guest. I got JB. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. What's going on with you?
Nothing much, man. And of course, we got Maui here. What's going on, Maui? What's up?
What's up, man? Great show last week. Great show. All around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Huge shout out to Elijah and Mike. Yeah, doing their thing last week. So yeah, how was y'all weeks, fellas? All right.
I mean, I didn't hear what he said. It kind of froze up. What'd you say?
Yeah, how was y'all weeks? How was y'all week, fellas?
You said how was my week?
Yeah. How was the week, man? Since
Yeah, my week was good, man. You know what I'm saying? Ups and downs, same.
We'll let Lamar answer in our little Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
little Lamar. But we'll get Lamar time momentarily, but yeah. So yeah, we just wanted to yeah. Mm-hmm. How was your week, Jamie?
My week so far so good. Shout out to the Dallas Stars, Western Conference champions, first to make the Stanley Finals. So I was excited watching the game last night. First time they made the finals in 20 years.
Yeah. The week was good. Just another solid week.
We'll be playing for the COVID Cup.
Yeah, exactly. But the week was cool. Just same old, just working, doing pods and just doing, just every week is the same. Just blessed to have another show. Blessed to be here. So, fellas, let's get into week 1 of the National Football League. So we'll do our NFL week 1 recap. So we'll start off first.
Wow.
And we'll go around the horn. Who was your NFL week 1 head scratcher? The one that made you like this makes you be like, that makes you scratch your head like, what the hell went on? So I'm gonna go around the horn. I'm gonna go with the Steeler fan who had a nice victory last night, Monday Night Football. Maui, your thoughts? Week 1 head scratcher. Are you on, Maui?
I can't hear anything. Like,
really?
I'm sorry.
Really? You sure?
I can't hear. Yeah, I hear, but it sounds like robot that's going in and out, and I'm trying to pick it up just to stay as professional as I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So basically, So okay. Week 1 head scratcher. Matter of fact, we'll go to you first, JB. We'll go to who's your head scratcher for week 1?
Ooh, there were 2 head scratchers for me. The first one, so the first one to me, it's a head scratcher, but it's kind of understandable is what happened to Philly. I think it's more of a head scratcher because they were up 17-0 in control of the game, and you see turnovers to the side of that game, and Washington ended the game on a 27-0 run. But the biggest head scratcher to me was the Indianapolis-Jacksonville game.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you would have told me that Jacksonville was going to win that game, I would have said, man, you're crazy. They're not going to win that game, but they found the way to win the game, man. One thing that I'll say, a lot of these procrastinators have been saying Jacksonville is only going to win 1 game this year or 2 games here. I think they're very competitive. I think that they're going to win more than 2 games. I don't think that they're very good, but you have to be really bad to only win 1 or 2 games in the NFL. So I don't think Jacksonville is going to be that horrible this year.
Yeah. All right, Mal, are you good? We good? How's your audio?
I hope so, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can definitely hear you. So, who's your head scratchers?
What in the? I don't know what's, bruh. Wow. My head scratches is the Jets. Yo, this is crazy. Can you hear me, Chris?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Some weird stuff going on over here, bro. But I got the Jets, Miami, San Francisco, a couple of teams, man. The Jets, I just thought they would be a little bit better. Thought they would be, more of a running game going on. And it seemed like out of all the games, it seemed like the quarterbacks is running more than the damn running back. Let me see who else. I got like San Francisco losing. I didn't think San Francisco was gonna lose that game. You know what I mean? When I watched it, I didn't watch the whole game. I watched more like the highlights, and I got more of. Fellas, you there? You there?
Yeah, we here.
Yeah, I got more of. It seemed like the timing is off. It seemed like from when I watch a lot of these highlight games, and because I wasn't able to watch a lot of the games, I watch more night games, but it seemed like the timing was a little off for some of these. You know what I mean? And from the quarterback and the receivers, but it just seemed like I didn't think the Cardinals was going to beat the 49ers, and I definitely didn't think the Bucks was going to lose. You know what I mean? But when I really started paying attention to all the games, I said, well, it kind of makes sense. There was no preseason. You know what I mean? So I would think some people would still be a little off, especially some of the older players. But I also think that that was a fumble. It was an incomplete pass by Kerrigan. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Hey, Chris, I thought I'd get that to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got some good things to say about them. I love the way they look and everything, but we'll talk about that later. I'm starting to look at the Falcons too. Like, not saying they did. When you look at the stats look okay, especially for a first game. But it's almost like in the NBA, you start asking those questions about those quarterbacks, and you know what I mean. That's been playing for a team for a long time, and you know what I mean. He's just like, okay, so when is we gonna start making these decisions, and maybe it's time to move some people. You know what I mean? You got Gurley there. I think Gurley had like 50 rushing yards or something like that. You know what I mean? I mean, the ball was passed around great, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's the Falcons. I'm thinking, okay, when are we going to get to a point that they're going to be dominant? Like, they got the same situation. How long has Matt Ryan been there?
What's his 07? So we've been, that's his 14th season?
11. No, I think he got there at 08. Yeah, 08 was his rookie year. 08, 09 was his rookie year, yeah.
Yeah.
So 12 years.
Yeah,
and I'm not a hater at all. I'm just, I like to throw those decisions down because I know it's certain people I like, and then I'd be like, damn, they trying to get rid of him already. You know what I'm saying? He gave his all, but I think those questions got to be tossed around all the time. And then, I have some more on here. Like, when I looked at the stats, like I think Russell Wilson had the most rushing yards. I thought that was strange to me. You know what I mean? It just seemed, but once I looked at all the stats with all the teams, I was like, wow. Just like the NBA bubble, I think the NFL is changing also because almost every quarterback gave you at least 10 yards rushing. Even Brady gave you 9 yards. You know what I mean? And it wasn't a lot of running backs that broke 100. And then, the rest of it is the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they shouldn't have got beat that bad, even though the Ravens is really, really good. Probably beat anybody that way. But come on, man.
Yeah.
The Browns shouldn't beat it. They shouldn't have got beat that bad.
Yeah, and that was my biggest head scratcher, which I'm going to get to Lamar.
Well, I mean.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Oh, no, I was just responding to Deshaun. I mean, like, I was just going to say, man, like, I think the biggest thing with the Atlanta game, man, their defense, it's just not good. I mean, you can't give up 38 points. And, like they were down double digits the majority of the game. And when you're down that big, you're not going to be able to run the ball with Gurley. It's cooked, man. Like his knees are not good. He's definitely not the same player he was 2-3 years ago when he was putting up those monster numbers. But I can't really put the loss on Matt Ryan that much. Just like, like, hey, your defense can't give up 38, 39 points and, like, on opening day. Like, I mean, like their defense was pretty abysmal. And what you mentioned about the Jets really weren't going to be able to run the ball either. Like before you knew it, they were down. The Jets were down 21-0 really early against Buffalo. Right. So like you can't really run the football. Like if you get down that big, man, like that basically takes away your running game.
Yeah. And and my head scratcher, which I'm gonna get Lamar in as well. I said the Cleveland Browns. I think them losing by 32 was kind of one of those things where it's like, yikes. I mean, I figured they were going to lose. Well, actually, I had them beating Baltimore just out of just week one. Weird is how it happens. But, you look at this Cleveland Brown team where you look at them on paper and you're like, okay, they could – and you got to think about it, they're the last team that they beat that the Ravens lost to in the regular season. And so to me, I look at this team as they're competitive. Like you look at their roster, they're competitive. Not to a point where they were going to lose by 32 points. And I'm gonna get to Lamar's comments. So and saying my Browns is disappointment, and we all know that. And the funny thing is, so now I want to ask you guys this question that Lamar kind of posed. That he asked, but more so of trading Odell Beckham. So you guys think is it time to trade Odell?
I think so. I mean, I think he's toxic. I think he's part of the reason why they lost. So you look at the big play. So like they're moving the ball one time. He gets the personal foul. Like, look, my heart goes out to him because I don't think he intentionally was trying to grab the man's face mask. I think he was trying to stick arm. His fingers got caught. But the biggest play of the game. So I believe the score was at the time. I think it was like 17-6 or something. And they're moving the ball down the field, and it's third down. He drops the ball. If he catches that ball, you keep the drive going, and maybe you can score a touchdown. So at halftime, instead of you being down 24-6, maybe it's 17-13, 17-14. It's a different game, but he drops that ball. The field goal kicker misses the field goal, and then they march the ball down the field for the touchdown to go up 24-6. That was the biggest sequence of the game right there. That was officially when they lost the game, and they're not going to recover this. They're down 26, and I believe he got the ball for the second half, but like, he's toxic, man. Like, I understand he puts some big numbers with her, but does he make his teammates better? And also, is he trying to force Baker Mayfield to give him the ball sometimes? Because I feel like a lot of times in the flow of the game, you should be spreading the football. You should not be trying to just target one person. I think Baker Mayfield feels a tremendous amount of pressure just to force him the ball when stuff is not there sometimes. So I do think, honestly, maybe look to trade him and a less diva type wide receiver. Just personal opinion.
I would do it too. Is at this point, just to see if you I just want to see what's the market out there for him, to see what I can get as far as some. Because to me, I think anything that you get at this point, because we already know that Baker and Odell aren't on the same page. I mean, we know that for a fact. I mean, it's plain as day. That's even something that Kevin Stefanski was talking about in the beginning. Like, well, we need to get Odell and Baker on the same page. He's your number one wide receiver. Like, y'all not on the same page. That lets me know it's problematic. But yeah, I think that loss that they had to Baltimore, I think that was, to me, was really, and it's funny, and it's almost like in back-to-back years where they lost by 30 points last year to Tennessee in week one. And we were like, oh, wow, like that was another shocking. I think last year, of course, obviously was more shocking because of the fact that the expectation was a little higher. This year's a little bit less. We kind of still don't think, there's still teams who, still people that predict this team could potentially be like at least, 9-7 or what have you. But the expectation was NFC North last year compared to now it's a little bit down. But yeah, I mean, for them to lose by 30 is just head scratching. So let's get Lamar. Let's see. So, and then I'll shout out to our guy Eli from the Elijah from the All In Par from our guest last week. So basically, he's saying it's too early to trade Odell. Ravens were a bad matchup. Maybe give them 3 to 4 weeks. Which a part of me in a sense agrees with that. But in 2-3 weeks, they be playing us. So I don't want Odell on the field. no, but
yes, he ain't trying to see that defense. He ain't trying to see that deep. He ain't trying to see that defense. He ain't trying to see it, bro. I'm trying to tell you. He ain't trying to see
it. And the thing is, if the thing about the value of them, and it's almost to a point where if you to me, this would be the perfect opportunity to trade them at this point where there's somewhat of a market. Because if we go, 3 or 4 weeks down the line, it could potentially change because you just never know how things are, as far as the market for Odell. So, it's one of the things where I think Thursday is kind of critical. And I think really honestly, and I hate to kind of bring it back to the WFT aspect because you think about it, they play Thursday, then they get 10 days and they play Washington on the 27th. So to me, those critical moments there where it's like you're at a point where if you're 0-3, then it's like, all right, we just need to, I'm not trying to say it's doomed, but it's a situation where, hey, maybe we need to stop changing some pieces, maybe bring in Case Keenum. Who's to say? That's what I'm saying. You don't, do you want to, in a sense, kind of salvage season, or you just want to be like, you know what? Let's just see let's let Baker play out through the whole year. So that's gonna be an interesting dynamic where you look at it where I would say 2 weeks from now, who'll see how this team will be. Then from there, I think you could probably make more of a definitive decision on Odell. I think if you have at least 3 games in.
I agree. I'm with you, but I think that he has better chemistry with Landry anyway. Like even the stats say that. So, and he had better chemistry before Odell got here. So go ahead and let Odell go with it and see what you can get for him. And then you know what I'm saying? Let it be for what it is. Because all it is excuses, to be honest with you. He's not that good. It's just coming out. And it bothers me to see quarterbacks like him get drafted number 1, get all that money, get all that money, and then certain people can't get paid. They have to do certain things to get paid. Sorry, I'm just saying. I told certain people, I hate to be that way, but I told some people from the get-go, you know what I mean? And they talk so much trash. I'm like, man. And then I feel bad. I feel a little bad for Baker because now the real criticism coming out where they was like, oh yeah, he just was at a good program and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? They was tearing him up, but they've given him everything. He's gotten paid. He's gotten the coaches he want. He's got the GM. He got everything he want. He got Odell Beckham, who I'm not all that big of a fan of, but if you can get something for him, go ahead and get rid of him since they saying that. My thing is too, it's Baker Mayfield's team. So even if Odell saying throw me the ball, you throw him the ball when you need to throw him the ball. It's your team. You know what I mean? They're gonna get rid of Odell before Baker Mayfield. That's how I feel. And
I'm glad. And then also Jeff brought up a good point. Shout out to I got Jeff.
Right.
And this is funny because this is what me and Lamar was talking. Matter of fact, I talked to Lamar yesterday, and we were talking about this where it was like, okay. Maybe the Browns try Case Keenum before they decide on Odell, which
not gonna happen.
And that's what me and Lamar was talking about yesterday. I was like, because to me, I still think Case Keenum still has something left in his tank. Like to me, if you're down like an 0-2, 0-3 hole, would you put him there to kind of salvage the season?
Right. One thing too, what kind of general manager or coach, and they're gonna let that go out there and say that my number 1 and my quarterback is not on the same page? Come on now, you know what I'm saying? I would never let that get out. They're gonna be on the same page. They got to be on the same page. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What? And then again, I'm gonna keep saying this during the show. In no disrespect, you know what I'm saying is that. There was no preseason. So you got to look at a lot of this stuff a little different. You know what I'm saying? I see other people tearing people up, but I believe the preseason is kind of important. Timing and all different types of things. And they didn't get a preseason. So we're going to see that. We're probably going to see like my Steelers game. It was horrible in the first half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But You know,
well, yeah,
hey,
I said, I think the biggest thing, what you're saying about no preseason, the thing that you just saw is that a lot of teams, what happened is like they got behind because a lot of like basically what you saw, the guys are not in top shape. They're not in top shape, and I think that what happened in week 1, you saw it. I think once teams got behind by a lot, if they weren't able to cut into the deficit soon, they folded. And I think that's what happened with Cleveland. I can't really put that much. I can't put that much on Baker Mayfield because I do think he made some plays. And, you know, your guys have to catch the football. If I'm throwing the ball in your hands and we can get a first down, you have to catch the ball. You can't miss a field goal and then give Lamar Jackson the ball. Lamar Jackson was on fire, man. He balled out, man. And I knew when Odell dropped that ball late in the second half, moving the ball pretty well on them, you know, he drops the ball and they get a touchdown. The game's over right there. So, I mean, like, I do think people are overreacting because, like, you mentioned preseason. And a lot of what we saw, there was last penalties. Like you mentioned, the Steelers did not look good in the first half of the game against the Giants, but they started to look better as the game went on. It's going to take a few teams a few weeks to get it together. Now, you hope for some teams that they don't fall behind 0-2 and 0-3.
Right.
By the time they finally get it together, because you're looking at an uphill batter if you go 0-2 or 0-3.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so critical for Cleveland, as we talked about it, because now you look at it, if they lose Thursday, they're at 0-2. So that's another thing too, where and that's why it's so weird, like how, like you're saying, going back, and like you're saying, these guys aren't in football shape. Essentially, because I mean, you think about it, they're practicing, they're barely in pads. So yeah, and like you said, some teams are going to take, you know, it's going to take a few, you know, weeks to get their, you know, continuity together. And some of them, and the sad thing about it is, most of these teams don't have that luxury, because if they're going to be, like you said, we talked about earlier, if you're down 0-2, I think what like less than 30%, you have 30% chance of making to the playoffs. I think it's less than that. Come to think about it, if my memory serves correct,
it's like less than 20. Less than I think it's about 27 or 28% of teams that go 27 or 28% of teams that go on to make the playoffs.
Don't make it. Right.
And I believe only teams. I've only two or three teams have only gone 0-2 and gone on to win the Super Bowl. The Cowboys did, and the Giants did, I believe, and maybe another team has done it too. But like, if you go 0-2, it's the death sentence. But I think this is the kind of year where if you were to go 0-2, it wouldn't be that big of a deal because of what happened. I think that there are going to be some teams that get off the fast starts and they fall apart as the season goes on. And I think there are going to be teams that get off the slow starts and they get stronger as the year go on. So, like, I think this year, I think with the whole thing that's going on now, and you're seeing it like with these bubbles and basketball and in ice hockey, like a lot of weird stuff is happening.
Right. Yeah. Right. I got two things. First, you know who's probably understanding this system? And it's because his team actually drafted a quarterback, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers said, I got to hit people hard now. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's why I took it. He was like, I got to go fast and hit now, because I know if I might mess up, I got to be old Aaron Rodgers too. If I mess up, man, he can easily be replaced. You know what I mean? And then you got to look at it too. You know, October, you got to start looking, you know, you're going to go through these, you got to, I believe a lot of these older guys, when like the end of this month, they're going to start getting in like almost like playoff mode, because they're going to realize this is different. You know what I mean? This is not like a regular season. You know, go ahead, Chris.
Well, and I think, like you said, going back to Aaron Rodgers, I think Aaron Rodgers he's kind of like low key pissed off, and he's just going to prove, guys. And like I even said, I think they're going to move on from him regardless. He just like, I'm just going to go out and show out. And, so I just think long term, he knows, like, I'm gone, so I'm just going to ball and I'm going to do my thing.
Right?
Yeah.
What? Okay. I'm going to throw this out there since we're talking about Aaron Rodgers now. Do you think so? I understand why they drafted him. Do you think that they drafted him just so they could get a pissed off version of Aaron Rodgers, knowing that maybe that this year with everything that's going on with COVID, this might be our chance to get a second Super Bowl. And then after we get a Super Bowl, we can move on from him. Do you think that that was kind of like, I don't know, like a Ted Thompson, like mad scientist that like a lot of people just didn't pick up on? Because I was thinking that on draft day.
Right. Because you think about it. Because he came in the same circumstance. So, of course, he knows how this is going to play out. So then you think about the fact of, okay, if I go out like Brett Favre and only get one Super Bowl, I'm going to be like him. And then do I ball out this year and try to win a Super Bowl this year and surpass Brett Favre? He knows how the story is going to end. You're right. I think he knows that. And it's like he knows he was Jordan Love 15 years ago. So, right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, even in the Steelers game, when I watched it, I was paying attention to how he was playing, and he did okay. But then I think Ben was like, we're going to win this game. And I think he just outsmarted. You know, I think he's one of the smartest football players. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people say he's going to be a good coach. And I was like, it just seemed like he was like, okay, I'm the smartest person on this field right now. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm going to do this and that. Boom. I'm going to do this and that. Boom. You know what I mean? And I'm going to guide these guys. You know what I mean? But to me, when I really start watching the highlights, I start saying, damn, this almost do look like a preseason game. Let's talk about your game, your team.
We'll get to that.
My bad. I want to talk about him so bad. I want to talk about him so bad.
We'll go around the horn. We'll definitely. I'm glad we'll get to that momentarily.
I got you.
So let's get to our head turners of week 1. So I'm gonna go with you first, JB. Your thoughts?
What, head turner? And like just like biggest surprise?
Yeah, a head turner. Like wow, what made
I would say, man, the biggest head turner to me, like I'm not Washington did to Philadelphia, like those divisional games, man. Even like when you think one team is good and one team is bad, I would say my biggest head turner for me was how good the Panthers looked on offense. Like them putting up 30 points, that to me was kind of impressive. If anything, I thought the Panthers would probably struggle offensively, but I thought that they looked pretty good. Bridgewater. I was a bit more that the Raiders moved the ball as they did. So that's a head turner. And the other head turner that I talked about was what happened. Deshaun mentioned this. I think Arizona, man, winning that game in San Francisco. And to me, it was a surprise, but I don't think it should be a surprise. Like, because let's think about it. Arizona played San Francisco well 2 times last year. They lost 2 one-possession games to San Francisco. So I thought that was a bit of a head turner, them going on the road and beating the defending NFC champions on the road. That was right there to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Who's yours, Maui? Your head turners.
Okay. First off, head turner was I thought Adrian Peterson did well with the Lions. He got like almost 100 yards. He got like 96 yards. I thought that was a head turner for me. Big, you know what I'm saying? OG's still out there doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? I felt like him being like, don't worry. I felt like he was like, you know what? I'm not going to battle these coaches. I'm going to listen to them and bring the best out of this system from watching the game. Hell, to see Kirk Cousins out there running around, looking a little bit Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? I was watching. I was like, okay, Kirk. You know what I'm saying?
My boy name. Put some respect on my boy name.
Right. I think Hopkins is got those boys a little hype with those Cardinals. I think when they mess up, I think that takes something from Murray. Like, you got a dude who got a chip on his shoulder, you know what I'm saying? That's gonna take the leadership role. And you got Fitzgerald there, so you got like that good and bad, or you know what I'm saying? And Kyle Murray did well. I mean, seriously, the sliding, the running out of bounds. was protecting himself. He had command of the game. You know what I mean? In every which way. I felt it's like when I watched Deshaun Watson, I didn't feel like he had. I felt like he tried to get it, but I don't think he had all the weapons that he could, you know. And let me see, Cardinals. And basically the defense. I love the defense of the Steelers. The quarterback for the Giants, he just looked like, man, they're jumping around, they're coming from everywhere, you know. And I was really excited. I love that type of defense. So then I'm watching the highlights of the Washington football team, right? And I'm like, they won the game, and it was horrible the first half. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, they just start coming out of nowhere. Just all the, you know what I'm saying, sacks and interceptions, and you know, they got aggressive and inspired. And then I looked at the uniforms, and I was like, man, it got an old school feel to it. And I was like, it's almost like I feel like they're going to be okay, because I think that game showed them the identity they can have, which everything fused through the defense. You know what I'm saying? And I think if you have a young quarterback too, that's a running quarterback, I think if your defense you know what I'm saying, stay disciplined, play hard and aggressive, that can help your young quarterback out, you know, because he's going to make mistakes. But if he just get down the field and they can make some field goals, you might win a game, especially if you're a strong defensive team. So those are my head turners, man, for the first week. But at the same time, like I said, I do feel like even though we're critiquing it, I think a lot of things are going to change going into October, because I do feel like a lot of those guys they gotta pace themselves, you know what I mean, and pace themselves and get that blood flowing, you know. And it's gonna be interesting also to see some of the people that we didn't know that step up, because they don't have that crowd there, you know what I mean, that pressure, you know. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. So to be honest with you, my head scratcher is of course I watch the football team. But it's just one of the things where I've always kind of envisioned this type of team that they were going to be. And it's so weird to see it in week one. It shocked me. I'm real with you. I knew we were going to be physical, especially on our defensive line. I knew we were going to be there. I didn't think we were going to. I didn't think we was going to have a riverboat run this early, especially going forward on 4th down in a tie game with 6 minutes to go. And in previous administrations, I know how this plays out. 4th and 1, we kick a field goal. Philly comes back on a 5-minute drive, and then we get a minute, and we look like a deer in the headlights, and we lose the game. I see this before, so I look at that, and it's just the fact of, and I just loved how Ron Rivera, like in the beginning, Dwayne was looking horrible, and then and they asked Pam Oliver asked. that how as far as how you think about Dwayne, like as far as what that is concerned. And he was like, well, basically, hey, we need to give him some time in the pocket so he can make some plays. So I love that. We know Jay Gruden wouldn't have said that last year at all. I would have paid Jay Gruden to say that for $1 million. He would have been like, no, I don't want your money. He didn't find any kind of way to throw him under the bus. So I look at that team, and it's to see it in week one. It's amazing. Like, to me, I figured this was going to be down the line. It was going to be to get it fresh out of the box like this. And then, because you think about it, normally in normal cases, when we're up, matter of fact, case in point, this time last year, we were trailing JB's Cowboys. What was it, 17-14 at halftime? Guess what happened? They knocked us in the mouth, and guess what? We just fell out and died. We just straight up died last year on them. This team finally, it's a new regime. We have fire in ourselves, and we make adjustments. And it's so crazy to think like we have a coach that makes adjustments. Like, I'm serious, and you say that as a joke, but honestly, it goes to even an elementary fundamental like that, elementary fundamental, something like that, and it's the truth. It's sad to say that, that we have a coach that makes adjustments. Like everybody should have, every coach should have that in his repertoire, but we haven't had that in the previous administration, unfortunately. And so, hell to them.
All right, but let me, but let me ask a question though. All right, let's just be honest. Okay, all right, I'm not. It was a good win for them. They won the game.
Yeah.
All right, but don't you think it was a bit of the matchup? I think that the matchup
just better.
It was
it's a matchup.
Mean, like I think
right.
Yeah, I think I think the Eagles, the offensive line. I mean, you were able to get to Carson Wentz and you forced turnovers. Like I mean, your defense was impressive. I'll give the defense impressive. Your offense was not impressive though.
Correct. Right, but that's the thing.
It wasn't impressive, man. Like you're not going to win games. No. You're not going to win games. You're not. Yeah.
It was. That's what I'm saying, huh?
No, get him. No.
No, the thing is, I'm not saying we. Yeah,
I know.
But I look at it just from the standpoint of we made adjustments that we. That's the thing about it. It ain't a situation where we're not going to win games. We ain't going to be 16-0. We know that for a fact. But the simple fact of if we would have had another, think about it. We've had mismatches all the time. Do we take advantage of them? Hell no. In previous administrations, we didn't. We didn't.
Right there.
And that's the thing. Yeah, the offense was horrible, but that's the thing about it where the adjustments were made. So that's the thing about it where. And that's all you really can. And I hate to say that. And that's all you can hang your head on going forward. Right. I know at least going forward, we'll be in games. So if I'm having adversity like this, if I'm down 17-0, okay, we got a legitimate shot to come back in some form or fashion. We'll stay in games. You got to think about. We come off a 3-13 year where literally when we got hit in the mouth every time, and Jamie. Y'all punched us in the mouth twice. Dead in the face. What did we do? Did we fight back? We fought, but no, hell no, we didn't fight back.
Because
we just let down.
You basically saying you got coaching now.
Yeah, we have leadership. Yeah. And
leadership and coaching, right.
Little things, which most people would take for granted or just have it. But now we do. We just have we have it. And yeah.
But I'm a Steeler. Y'all remember last year? Let me
ask a question. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, JB.
Yeah, I mean, like I thought the Steelers. I thought Tomlin did probably one of his best jobs last year because like the Steelers just didn't have a quarterback last year. So I thought the defense was. If the Steelers, if Ben Roethlisberger doesn't get hurt last year, the Steelers are in the playoffs. But my thing is just I want your perspective as a fan because I'm seeing the game a bit differently. What adjustments did the Redskins make on Sunday? Because what I see as a fan is like, I think that the biggest thing was just the turnovers. I thought that
and that's the thing.
They had the game under control. There were two interceptions, and I just
and that's what I'm saying, right? And I looked at those. We forced the turnovers, and then converting on fourth down when it was 17-17. And I said that earlier, where in other administrations, how this would have played out. We'd have been 17-17, kicked the field goal, 17-20. Carson Wentz moved down the field, or he probably have a 5-minute drive. Dwayne Haskins got to force us to win with a minute to go, and we lose. I look at those type of adjustments. Mm-hmm. I look at that type of adjustments and then just not giving up. The thing is just not giving up. You know how we've been. Like
they don't know how good they really are. That's another thing. They look fast.
I guess
they look fast. They look fast, and they look like
They
was hitting hard. And from what I see, and I didn't watch it. I watched the highlight. It just seemed like once they got momentum, they was not going to let it go, and it just seemed like. Wentz, he was trying, but it just seemed like everything was just starting to go their way.
And you gotta really think about it. And you think about it, this time, well, in week 1 of last year, we was up 14, or was it 7? I think we was up 14-0 to Philly. And we all, everybody's like, oh, but what happened? We never adjusted. We let Deshaun Jackson just demolish us in that second half. I think he had 3 touchdowns in that game. So I look at that type of situation where and it's funny because to me, I figured we was gonna get this type of maybe like later on in the season, what have you, because you knew it's growing pains. And it still will be growing pains. I'm not going to say like we're going to, be undefeated in the month of September or whatever. But to me, you see these type of improvements and you have to at least be like, okay, you're encouraged. That's the thing with this franchise. You have to be encouraged just for the simple fact of, normally in normal cases, in normal circumstances, we know how normally the story will end. Especially on Sunday.
If the defense constantly keeps stepping up the offense is going to find a way. They're going to have to because they're most likely going to be a winning team.
Well, that's going to be the problem. That's going to be the problem.
The defense keep going if they keep doing what they're doing, the offense is going to have. They're going to have to find some type of way to get that offense going.
But that's going to be the problem because I don't think they have enough on offense. That's going to be the biggest thing where. And it's going to get to a point where the defense is going to get worn out.
Right.
And that's going to be a potential going forwards. But for today, we know the offense is going to mess up. I mean, the offense, we just don't have a lot of playmakers. You just look at it on paper where you're like, there's really no, except for like Terry McLaurin. But other than that, do you really have, guys? Which that's the problem. And it's going to get to a point where I think the defense can where the defense can be on the field too long and they get worn out. So I for what I see today, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to cross that bridge when it gets there. But today I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this win and going forward, we can critique this offense.
Sound like me last year. I was just happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. I didn't get my first win.
What it remind me of.
Right.
That's what it reminded me of. It reminded me when Ben got hurt, and then I was looking at him. The defense just stepped up. Go ahead, JP. I'm sorry.
Right. I didn't get my first win until October the 13th of last year. So to get one in September, I'm cool.
My biggest thing though is I just think people are slightly overreacting to the defense. Like they did a good job, but Philly, they missing 3 people on their offensive line. You can't do that right there, man. I'm sorry. Look, they played a good game, but you're not going to be going against teams every. Well, no, you can't. You're not going to go against teams every week. You're not going to go against teams every week that are missing 3 of their offensive linemen, and you're not going to get 8 sacks and force 3 turnovers every week. That's my thing.
But no one's expecting that. We're just talking about week 1. Philly has been hurt all the time. This is a situation where Philly was hurt. They was a wounded animal last year, and they still took care of business. So I understand the fact of
but they weren't wounded this badly last year on their offense.
Correct.
They couldn't protect punts. If you can't protect your quarterback, you're not going to do much.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. So we're not, but who is saying we're gonna get 8 sacks every week?
Floss.
Nobody.
Right,
Nobody. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
People
specifically,
are overreacting to the defense.
I don't specifically. Anybody specifically. I want names on this one.
Hey JB, do you think they should have paid Dak? I didn't know you was a Cowboy. That's
just everybody. Everybody, even y'all fan base is ridiculous. All our fan base are ridiculous. How that is. But
I'm sorry.
The 3 of us.
Me being a Steeler, I've had receivers hurt. I've had offensive lines hurt. I've had defensive whatever. You still, like Tomlin say, you still got to step up and you got to play. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We should have made the playoffs last year.
No, not with the quarterback situation you had though. Like the whole next man up thing, like I understand that, but I'm sorry, teams are not gonna like that next man up bullshit works for a little bit. Sorry for my language. It works for a little bit, but when you start having three offensive linemen that are supposed to be starters that are out and you're replacing them with guys on the street, it's hard to protect your quarterback. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying we won a Super Bowl.
You can sustain it,
and we had the worst. We had the worst offensive line that year, and that's what Ben said. Ben said, "Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
No,
yes,
you didn't.
It was horrible.
You didn't have the worst offensive line. There's no. Horrible. Go to PFF. Look at the grade. Your offense was not that horrible that year. Ben Roethlisberger held on to the football too long, and he does do that a lot of times. And I've talked to a lot of Steelers. Your offensive line was not horrible. Your offensive line was not horrible. Not at all. The worst in football? Are you serious, Deshaun?
Hey, man, I'm gonna tell you, we do this every time we on here. You do that to me, and then I prove my point because a lot of stuff is going my way. So I don't have to argue because he know I got one of them minds that I remember how everybody was saying, "Oh, I don't think they're gonna even make it that much because their offensive line is horrible. Their offensive line is terrible." Blah blah blah. This, and that. I remember all that. You know what I mean? I remember that.
You said that they have the worst. You said that they have. You said they won the Super Bowl with the worst offensive line. They didn't have the worst offensive line in football.
They had one of the worst offensive line, but it's all good. Let's go ahead and go forward. You know what I'm saying?
No, they didn't.
Let's go ahead.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't.
All right, so fellas, the biggest takeaway of week.
Yeah. Try to be funny, man.
Who? What's wrong? What's wrong, guys? What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm saying say nothing. I ain't say nothing.
All right. I'm gonna have to be like John Thompson. Clinton. I'm gonna put JB in one corner, and I'm gonna put you, Maui, in the next corner.
I'm moving on. I'm good.
All right. I'm gonna have to be the mediator now. I ain't trying to be the rep tonight.
All right. So get us in trouble.
All right. So the biggest takeaway in for week one.
No, you're the one making these like little and shit.
All right. I'm John Thompson now. All right. One of y'all in one corner, one in the other. We got 4 corners. All right. This is fun, guys. Let's all right. Let's get back to fun, guys. All right. So Maui, you cooled down. You're the Maui.
You said the biggest takeaway. The biggest takeaway.
Week one.
I just felt like the quarterback as of right now, it may go back to what it used to be. I didn't see a lot of just staying in the pocket. I've seen a lot of rushing. Like if you look at the stats, it just seemed like some like Russell Wilson had like 50. Like they really didn't run the ball much. A lot of some teams that did, but it wasn't a lot of teams that actually ran the ball. So that's one thing I saw. It seemed like it was a lot of quarterback sneaks. I think out of everybody right now, everybody think this is the regular NFL. I don't think that it is. And I think one person understands that is Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, I think Aaron's like, man, if we go ahead now and hit them hard because it might take some teams a few games to actually move ahead. You know what I mean? But that's my takeaway so far.
Yeah. All right. JB, your take of game week one.
Oh, can I Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I should talk because clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. So but anyway.
God. All right, guys. Remember, this is all right, guys.
You said that. You said that. I didn't say that.
All right, guys.
So anyway, the biggest takeaway is just that I thought a lot of teams were throwing the football week one because generally speaking, your offensive linemen have to be in shape for you to be able to run the football. I think the first few weeks you're going to see a lot of teams throwing the football because I think that your offensive linemen have to be in better shape to run block than to pass block. So I think you're going to see a lot of more teams throwing passes, and you're going to see a lot of teams throw passes probably the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah. I got a simple one. I think it was just, it was just great to have football on. That was one thing I think me and Sean, we talked about it, in the beginning of the pandemic, the thought of not having fans in the stands, it was going to be kind of a weird concept, but end up being great, even looking at it on television and seeing empty seats didn't bother me. I think it's just the fact of just having the games, and it still felt just like 90,000 people was at these games. To me, it still had that feel. It was just it was a great weekend of football. Obviously the victory and just all of it. I mean, it was a very fun week. The Monday night games were great. I even stayed up late to watch, Tennessee and Denver. That was, pretty good game. If you love defense, if you're a football kind of guy, like I said on one of the shows last week, if you're a football kind of guy, that was kind of one of those type of matchups that you would, look at, beforehand. But yeah, man, it was a great week in NFL, man. It was great to just really have it back, man. It's just because at one point, me and you, Sean, we were going back at it like, I don't know if they're gonna play. We kept on saying it all year. Like, I feel like that was like our prevailing theme. It's almost like we should have like a year end, like at the end of the year, we should have like a reel of like all week to week. Like, well, I don't know. I think they should play one week. Right, and then the next year, like we went back and forth like all springs, all summer. But for it to be here, it is just happy. Just really happy that it's here, man. Like, and,
do you feel like they should have? Do you wish they would have had the preseason?
I mean, today, I don't know. I mean, it helps. I mean, it's one of the things where I can make an argument for both sides. Like, I would have liked to see guys, like, as far as, guys who are on the fringe making teams, for certain things. I would have liked that. And then, like you said, like, even like we talked about earlier, as far as like the, you're seeing like some of the poor play and some like the timing and stuff is off. I mean, even though you'll get some of that, but even in the preseason, your starters only going to get a few reps here or there, but those reps are needed. I mean, it's like everything. You need repetition, you need reps, you need that going forward. But I mean, hey, at this point, September 15th, long as we made it here.
Right.
Because once old boy snuck that girl into Seattle, I was like, oh, we might be in trouble. But other than that, we good. Now we full speed ahead.
Right.
But yeah, man, just happy. Happy as it can be at this point.
Right.
So before we go to the NBA, I want to do something really, really quick to kind of break this ice. So Malwi, okay, all right. We have to make this bet tonight.
You sure you want to make it?
Hell yes, I do want to make it.
If the Clippers I'm a humble dude, so
you know me.
I was gonna be ignorant tonight. I was gonna buy me a pack of Swisher Sweets. I was gonna have me some cognac and get my Shannon Sharp on. I swear.
But remember,
But
yeah, before we get on to the to that time, so all right, so if the Clippers make it tonight, if the bet is still on, right?
Yeah.
All right, so then on Thursday, we'll talk about what the parameters of it, because game one is start on Friday. So then we'll do the parameters of it, and it won't be nothing crazy.
Yeah,
it won't be nothing crazy. We'll do something. Yeah, because
I heard
we needed this.
What's the name? Got the boneless wings back on sale.
Yeah, man. You know me. I'm sticking for that. But yeah, and that's something we've been talking about since March. So we definitely have to do that. Like we can't let everybody who listened to us from the beginning, since the beginning of the year, disappoint everyone. So fellas, let's talk. Let me get that squared away. Definitely huge shout out to our guys, Chris LeBron and also Jeff, for chiming in tonight. So, fellas, we had a game one, an interesting game one in the Eastern Conference Finals, where we had the Miami Heat beat the Boston Celtics 117-114 in overtime. Fellas,
great game, man.
Your thoughts?
I was on here. I didn't get a chance to really watch it. From what I've seen, it seemed like it was a great game.
Yeah, man. I had to move locations, man, because I was like, I always had the back towards the television. Right. So I like maybe this is the night that I shouldn't do that. So I kind of rearranged and repurposed and made sure I had somewhat of a bird's eye view.
See?
So yeah, JB, right. your thoughts on game one, just in general. It's not has you know.
I mean, I'm not worthy of talking because I don't know what I'm talking about.
So, oh my God! All right, JB, guys. All right, Jay, I got it. No, it's not guys, JB. I'm sorry, man. You do. You bring a wonderful.
No,
I apologize
because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I love your perspective.
You're correct all the time. I don't know anything about football. I don't know anything about basketball.
You know a lot
about football. I don't know anything about basketball.
I'm sorry.
I have nothing.
It's okay.
I'm not through for ride. So
tuna, you're trout. You're good. Yes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So
this is.
I didn't watch. I didn't watch the game. So.
Well, the thing is just your reaction of them of the Heat winning game one. It's that we of course we were on air. It's just the fact. This is just more so of hey, what's your initial thoughts of damn the Heat won? Because when we went on the air, Miami was up. Boston was up by 10 with 8 minutes to go. And we were like, well, we'll see. So I mean, the fact that it went to overtime and then Miami took advantage, just. I mean, yeah, we all didn't watch the game. We know that's we just what's your thoughts on it, man? Just like don't have like the thing is not a we did obviously we was still talking and I have it in the background, but obviously I didn't watch it either. But just the simple fact of just your thoughts on damn Miami, Miami won,
Yeah,
just your thoughts, right? And essentially like does that is this how you think about just the initial thought of damn, Miami won. Like if you wanted Boston to win, what this, going forward, what this do to Boston going forward? But yeah,
I don't have a but I would probably say now I'm probably gonna have to go on a Boston and 6 prediction. Probably now. Yeah. Probably being Boston in 7. I think Boston probably should have won this game, but Boston's got some issues sometimes. Like they can go through droughts where they don't score the basketball, which is a bit concerning. And if Miami keeps on making their outside shots, especially if Jay Crowder continues to shoot like he has, I haven't seen Jay Crowder basketball like this since like probably Boston 2016, Boston 2000. This space. Then if he keeps it up, probably Miami has like I said, I thought Boston in 6, Boston in 7, but Miami has a shot of winning the series. I think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens in game 2 because I don't think Boston can go behind. They can't go down 0-2. They have to win the next game. Yeah. Next game is a must win for them.
Right. Yeah. From what I saw, man, it just seemed like it was just a fight. Went into overtime. Jason Tatum got went for a dunk, got blocked. You know what I mean? And Jimmy Butler, they was down I think 1, and he drove with and made the layup with 12 seconds left. Mm-hmm. It's just a fight, man. Like a lot of people they saying aren't really watching these games, man. And it's been some really good, exciting games in this bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I be hearing that stuff. I be like,
his name is the guy that just posted the comments. His name Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, one of the best games of the bubble for sure. So yeah,
like
coming on that. Yeah.
Probably so. I would still probably say I have to look at the highlights. I would probably still say that probably game 6 of that Toronto Boston series is probably the best so far of the games in the bubble.
Yeah. But definitely huge shout out to Jeff checking this out. And so it's interesting, just with that concern. Miami 3 games away from the NBA Finals. I mean, that's interesting. Right. And like you said, Boston just go back to the drawing board. Thursday is going to be a very pivotal game going forward for this team. And I do like Boston in this matchup. So I mean, hey,
Right.
it definitely won't be a sweep by Boston. So we know that for sure.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, JB, how do you feel about Hayward coming back? You think he's gonna make a difference?
It depends on what he is. He had a high ankle sprain. Like those high ankle sprains are tricky. Like, if I was Boston when they bring him back, and I think we'll probably see him back maybe for game 3, I would say. Because he's out of quarantine now. I would say I would bring him off the bench, and I would keep Marcus Smart in the starting lineup. That's what I would do. But he can definitely bring, because he's an extra body. He's an extra guy who can create and who can create for other people, and he can get his own shot off. So he definitely would help them out a bit, because their bench right now is a little lacking without him.
Yeah. I think might playing every other day, but they might be a little fatigued. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I think they were trying to say they were trying to get him in.
They definitely probably are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they probably are. Well, I mean, they had a rough 7-game series with Toronto, and I think the thing that I have to look at is that would Boston have looked better down the stretch had they not had that double overtime game 6 and then that grueling game 7? Like they definitely seemed like they seemed like out of the first quarter and the third quarter, they seemed very fresh when they got that break, but they seemed like in the second quarter and the fourth quarter, they kind of were a bit fatigued. So they definitely need some reinforcement.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I can always say, Gordon was one of the best 4th options in NBA history. Part of my hyperbole. My hyperbole.
So stupid.
I think I said that on one of the podcasts, and everybody just started busting out laughing. Like, guys, it's a joke. Like, I mean, yeah, he averaged 17 a game, but yeah, I mean, damn, like really, guys, hyperbole. But yeah, so. Wow. So fellas, man, let's put up on this week's Couch Coach Live, man. You guys, final thoughts. Maui, your final thoughts.
Football is here. I'm excited. I ain't even gonna say too much about other things, you know what I'm saying? But we're gonna see what this Denver and Clippers game look like.
Nah.
Yeah, I guess.
Whoever win this game.
You know what? Final thoughts. Did you hear about that LA sheriff saying that he want LeBron to step up and put some?
Like I said, everybody do stuff for clout. It's for clout. That's all.
Right.
Because now I know who the sheriff name is. Because the simple fact he lumped LeBron James in it. Everybody wants clout.
That's crazy.
It's 2020. Clout chasing is like breathing at this point. Like everybody's doing it.
And one more thing, with Mike D'Antoni saying he's not coming back, it's going to be, and I also felt a little bad about, seriously, I'm a Westbrook fan. I felt a little bad about Westbrook in this playoff series, man. He almost looked like, I don't know if he's going through something or he almost seemed like he got exposed. It wasn't a good series for him. It almost make you feel like maybe it was the bubble or maybe he was just really going through something. But that breakdown, you know what I'm saying? I was thinking about that, and then it's gonna be exciting to see off this off season, man, because it seems like it's gonna be a lot of changes in the NBA.
Oh yeah, a lot of interesting changes.
You think so? You think so? You think a lot of changes?
Well, you mean the coaching changes,
player movement or
coaching? I think coaches and player movement, and then I'm interested to see what's gonna happen with Westbrook. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen with the Rockets and. It's going to be interesting, you know what I mean, to see. And it's not going to be it's going to be short too, because don't the new, isn't it supposed to start in December?
They still working out the details of that, because I don't know, because I know they're saying no later than Christmas.
I would say.
They're saying Christmas, but then they pushed the draft back to November the 18th.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, man, I'm guessing that maybe the season won't start until January, and I think that we might be looking at a short season because my thing is that like next year, hopefully there's going to be the Olympics next year, and they want the players to be able to participate in the Olympics. They don't want the bubble to be going on in in June and July because they want the players to go into the Olympics. So I would be for them changing the NBA season. I actually like the NBA season like this. Like, how about like just have the season from like January to July from now on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be cool with it. Yeah, because like to me, and it from January to July. Right, because it works perfect. Because now you look at it where they don't really interfere with the NBA with the NFL. Because you think about it, they start in late October. We don't really care about the NBA until essentially Christmas. So that goes back to your point where we really don't care about the NBA until January to pretty much like, to that's concerned. So then July you'll have that, because they, then couple that with a draft and free agency where they can take over July and August and then make way for football, where you're looking at a complete wall-to-wall, football, basketball schedule all year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They should. And that's the thing too. And they just keep moving stuff up. So moving stuff back. So it could be, So because I even in the beginning I was like, October. Y'all could, But and that's the thing. Now you look
I'm thinking about it now. I'll go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What happened? What's wrong?
Oh no, I was just saying something about like how, but I think January. Let's start January the 1st and let's end the season like sometime like in August, like maybe by the beginning of August. I think that could work actually, and then that way, because I actually like this right now because the dog days of summer are boring. We between between like the middle of June until like the end of July, beginning of August, we're kind of waiting for football. And then, football, there's training camp. Training camp is really not that exciting until we get into like, the second or third preseason game. So it wouldn't be like that big of like a layover for sports fans, actually.
Yeah. Ooh. And then with the offseason too, where if you have a great free agent class, that makes a summer, but you're not going to have like a summer 2021 every year. So that goes back to your point where, maybe we should play basketball within the summer because that 2021 class next year is going to be crazy. So that's another thing too, where we have to rely on that type of class to have a good offseason, essentially. So,
I'm sorry. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but how did y'all feel about Cam being a Patriot? And how did y'all feel about, I was very disappointed in Miami. I thought Miami would be a little bit better. And then I thought that Miami,
I
thought Miami would be a little more disciplined because somebody grabbed Cam's
yeah. To me, Miami, I think for them to only lose by 10 is not bad. Like going forward, because all this stuff is new. Because you really got to think about it. They're in a new What's wrong? Huh? But I'm saying this is new as far as them seeing Cam Newton in this offense. So to me, all of it's really, I'm not saying like Miami is Miami. Like Miami's still a team that's I think is still going to be a good team going forward. I don't like to me. I wasn't too like mad that they lost, but they only lost by 10. And Cam was Cam. Cam just did to me, and that's the thing too, where he looked all right. Like the thing is, it's just his first week. He did good for that first week under Josh McDaniel's system, but Miami's Miami. Miami's on the come up.
All right.
Yeah, I think Miami is a third place team in that division. Yeah. I think that like basically I think it's a consensus that like New England and Buffalo are going to duke it out for the division. Like I think Miami, if you look at Miami historically doesn't play well when they go up to New England. Generally speaking, New England struggles when they come down to Miami, especially if they play Miami at the beginning of the season because they have to deal with that humidity. But I wasn't disappointed. I thought that they played hard. You mentioned that a bit undisciplined. I think that's to be expected because there wasn't a preseason, but I think Miami will be good going forward. My biggest issue with Miami, though, is just that they don't have a quarterback. I mean, Fitzpatrick has just proven over time that he's the kind of guy he can play good for you over the certain stretches of the season. He can play good, but he's not a 16 week player. He's like about like a 3-4 week player. He'll play good for you with stretches. So I think because of that, I don't know about you, Chris, but I felt like they could go maybe 7-9 this year is what I felt their ceiling was.
I thought so too because I think even last year
I think about 7-9.
Yeah, I thought so too. I didn't. I just looked at they overachieved last year, and I think it's just going to be a continual upswing. Which I mean, you'll take it, like you saying, like Fitzpatrick. I mean, he had a decent stretch coming in last year, and like he only lasted for a few weeks, and then 2 years ago in Tampa, remember how he was looking like Conor McGregor, had the chain, Deshaun Jackson's chains and all that, and then remember we was on the road, and then what happened that Monday Night Football game when he played y'all, he looked like a deer headlights, and then that's all you wrote from him, and.
And he still threw for 4. What's scary about him is he could have these bad games, but fantasy wise, he still looks pretty good. Because I think in that Pittsburgh game, he still threw for over 400. He threw like 4 interceptions. Touchdowns. Like I mean, he put up some big numbers in that game. He didn't play good, but he still put up big numbers. Right. I mean, that's the with him.
Yeah, and that's the thing where, like you're saying, and you see these type of things, you're like, he's not going to be your long term answer, but hey. They have an answer in Tua, and they'll unleash him at some point in this year, potentially. I say no, but I digress.
Part of me think they should. I don't think
because
I know like the whole thing. We talked about. I said it jokingly, but I just know for experience. I just be 100% real. And just because a doctor clears you. You ain't 100% ready.
Right, I got you, Sam.
Like I said, the boy had hip surgery the Monday before Thanksgiving. Like, I'm just gonna hold off. I'm just gonna let him just soak up Ryan Tannehill. Wow, Ryan Fitzpatrick's year and be like, hey, just be a savant under him. You know, just be the first one at the facility, be the last one out. Next year, we got you. Because I'm
kind of feeling what Maui is saying, though. I think that if things get really ugly, like I don't expect from them, but like let's say they're like 1-6.
Yeah,
and you're not going to make the playoffs, and I think that like give them plans. I think that if you're somewhat competitive, like let's say you're 3-4,
right,
you would keep. But I but I agree with what you said too, Chris. I think just because the team doctor says you're healthy, does not mean you're healthy because they're working for the team. So
right,
yeah.
And you know what's so funny? This is and you made a perfect example. Just like how Miami was 0-5 last year, and they pulled a plug on Josh Rosen. And then they put in Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
I can see that type of situation happening again if that happens. Because boy, that Redskin, that Washington Redskin defense had him shook last year, Will, and sent him to the bench. Now he's sitting in the stands in New Orleans last week.
Stupid.
But yeah, man. So I think if it is a situation where, like you said, they're 0-6 or whatever, then you bring in Tua. But like you said, if just like what they did last year when they pulled the plug on Josh Rosen. But yeah. So game balls, fellas, who getting this week game ball? I'm gonna go around the horn. Maui, your game ball.
Game ball goes to the Cardinals. And I'm gonna give it to the Cardinals, and I'm gonna give it to the Steelers and the Washington football team's defense. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna give it to Dak Prescott. You want to know why? Because he showed up. He showed up, and he ain't throw no interceptions.
Well, and everything that happened last week with the interview with Graham Bessinger. Yeah,
right,
absolutely,
right.
JB, you thought your game ball.
I'll give the Washington defense. They put up. I'm not playing fantasy football this year, but I was thinking when watching the game, 8 sacks and what, like 2 interceptions and the fumble recovery. Like, damn, that's like a monster fantasy day. They won fantasy football for somebody. So I'll give them my game ball. Basketball, I'm gonna give my game ball. See, don't accuse me of being a hater anymore, Deshaun. I'm gonna give my game ball to the Lakers, man. They look good, man. They're playing, they're taking care of business. I know that Laker Nation is praying for a Denver victory because they don't want the smoking, the Clippers, but that's that's a different story. But like the Lakers look good though. The Lakers look real good, man. Like I would say that them and Miami have been the most impressive teams in the playoffs so far. With Miami, Milwaukee, and the Lakers were able to do to Portland, to Houston. So I'll give my game ball to Braun. He's looking for number 4. And my last game ball, I'm gonna give my last game ball to Dak Prescott, not for the game that he played on Sunday. I thought he played fine, even though Dallas lost. I'm gonna give my game ball for him speaking up about what's going on in the wake of his brother, committing suicide. Because I think mental health issues are very, very, very important, and I think it's good for a professional athlete to let people know, hey, even though I have millions of dollars, I have this God-given ability that I also have issues with depression sometimes. And I think that athletes doing that, I think that like giving other people care to speak about the issues that they're having. So I thought, and screw Skip Bayless for his hot take on that. I thought that was really Bush League, what he said about Dak. But those I'll give my 3 game balls to Washington defense, LeBron and the Lakers, and to Dak Prescott for what he said. So
yeah, and like we always go to nauseum. Skip is just a caricature. He did that for attention. He did that because he know, hey, people are gonna talk about me. Because already know that does not make any sense. That just because he's a quarterback of a Dallas Cowboys does not make him susceptible of being a normal human being. Like, we all go through stuff, and for that man to lose his mother and a sibling, and you don't think he's not affected by that? Come on, dude. And that's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Skip.
And I didn't know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know his brother had suicide, man. I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah. And that's another thing where that's why that's why I don't even take stock in Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless, he did that so people can talk about him and it could be about him. Like what Charles Barkley said, if I ever see Skip Bayless in the room, I'll kick his ass. So my game ball, and it's funny. So we did the show last week, and as we was on air, Milwaukee got eliminated by the Miami Heat. And then once we, did everything, wrapped the show up, found out that my nephew retired from the National Basketball Association. So I Unc retired, and then my nephew retired. Vince retired earlier. Now my nephew Marvin Williams, Starvin Marvin, probably arguably the greatest college 6-man that has ever played.
Oh, he retired.
Except for Corey except for Corey Maggette, maybe a second to Corey Maggette. Yes. So Marvin Williams has retired from the NBA. Not an illustrious career as we all envisioned. The number two overall pick in the 2005 draft. They had Darren Williams and also Chris Paul. But Marvin, you did a great job, nephew. Definitely representing that Carolina blue to the fullest. Definitely Unc retiring, Vincent early in the year, and then nephew Marvin Williams retired. Give the game ball to my nephew Marvin Williams. Fellas, this has been this week's Couch Coach Live, man.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea Marvin retired. And, you know, like,
Marvin,
people are gonna say he was a bug. I mean, like, for where he was drafted at, but he wasn't garbage. He was a rotation player. He just wasn't a superstar.
To me, if you still getting checks 15 years in, you doing something right. That's why, like, we talk
right.
about we joke about Jared Dudley, but guess what? He's still getting them checks. We can laugh and all we want to, Maui, but guess what? He's still getting them checks. Correct. So you know what? We can low key clown Jared Dudley, but at the end of the day, he's doing something right.
He's still in this league. Turtle.
Hey,
when he see what he runs.
Well, right. Well, guess what? That he turned, right. He turned into that bank at a turtle's pace. He getting them checks though. So yeah, man. To me, if you still in this league double digit years and you still getting your checks, hey man, all the power to you. Right. So yes, so this has been this week's Couch Coach. Yeah. So this has been this week's Couch Coach Live, fellas, man. We'll catch you guys next week. This has been Couch Coach Live.